Hi, I'm Carlisle Grant, and this is Behind the Title What the Resume Doesn't Reveal. This podcast is where we sit down with Caribbean leaders, creatives, and quiet giants to hear the real story, not just the highlight reel. No fluff, no filters, just truth, legacy, and lessons from those who've walked the path. Hi, Jana, how are you doing?
Hi, Carlisle. I'm okay.
All right, cool. So thank you for making the time. Thank you for agreeing to be on the podcast and just to share your unique story. I think it's a very unique story. So that's why I definitely wanted persons to also hear it.
Well, thanks very much for inviting me. I really
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, so who was Jana before all your titles? You know, you're a zip jock, you're an attorney, you're a justice of the peace, you're a realtor, you're a mother. Who was Jana before all of those titles?
Well, I'd like to think I'm still the same Jana,
Right.
just enhanced perhaps in different ways. But I've always loved music. I've been playing the piano from I was about 3 years old and so on. So I've always had an interest in that and a love for
Right.
that. I developed a love for journalism and broadcasting in later teenage years
Okay.
and so on. But, I think I'm still the same fun-loving, excitable person.
Okay, all right. So bring me back to childhood a bit, because I know that your dad was also in that field as
Right.
well. Just kind of connect the dots for us.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So my dad, his name is Tony Patel. He's still into broadcasting.
Okay.
He's a veteran and has
A
been
legend, some
well,
would say,
thank you,
you know.
right? So lauded by the I think it's the Press Association or whichever association
Right.
a few years ago. So he has been in broadcasting from, let's just say, the late 1960s. So
Wow.
we're talking well over 50 years. And I grew up in a household with broadcasting being a big part of it and so on. We would watch Daddy on TV or listen on the radio and stuff like that, depending on his assignment at a
Right.
particular time. So I had that definitely, a part of growing up was media and broadcasting, going to JBC, to the studio and
Right.
stuff like that as well. And sometimes being on the program, I remember it was called Pass the Ball or something like that. And my brother and I were there once as little children in the audience or as part of the, the show.
Right.
So I had that growing up, but I developed a love for it myself. Daddy didn't, force us or try to push us in any particular direction. I realized, looking back, my parents never tried to force us into
Right.
anything. So I developed the love for it myself. I worked on my yearbook in sixth form at Immaculate, and that's where I love for journalism I realized for myself. As I was saying, I was always playing into music, so I did piano lessons,
Right.
violin lessons, air training, singing lessons at
Wow.
one point. So different, I was also involved in Jamaica Orchestra for Youth with the violin at one point. So music and stuff was a big part of my life as a child and into teenage years, CXC times and stuff like that too.
Wow.
So that's some of the genesis there.
Right.
Yes.
So it kind of makes sense how you are in these
Right, and well,
positions
some
that
people
you
would
are.
say, broadcasting or media is in your blood. You couldn't run from it, and I
Right.
think that is true because it's been 23 years at Zip. I'm not ready to leave it. I can't. And as I said, my father is in his 70s now. He's still in broadcasting, and so
So you think maybe you're gonna be in your 70s?
Yes, I think so too. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So most people probably get to meet you in one of your many roles, right? What do they often, I would say, misunderstand about either your identity or probably your journey?
Well, there's sort of two things. Some people would assume that in terms of my legal practice that I do entertainment law, that I'm an entertainment lawyer.
Yeah, that's
right. That it's sort of like people would think it's the natural merging, especially because Zip is a party entertainment style station. Is not a news or current affairs focused type of station. So I think sometimes that was an assumption or expectation.
Right.
Also, some people. So I've been an attorney this year, 17 years. I've been called to the bar.
Congrats.
Thank you. some people didn't think I had finished law school because I was still on Zip. Because the expectation might have been
because you did it
when
while
you
in
finish.
school.
Right. So I've been at Zip first, and then while here, got some study leave to go to Barbados and things. So Zip came first, and then studying law. So some people thought when you finish law, no, you're gonna leave Zip. So the fact that I'm still at Zip, some people thought I never finished law, right? Or never finished studying law. So some of those kinds of things. But what has happened, because on Zip, we don't use our real names. Not a lot of people necessarily know that Janna Patel is the same person as Zip Drop Venus.
True.
And that has, there are pluses and minuses to that. But I think the biggest advantage is that it has kept the two careers sort of separate. And they can each sort of flourish on their own, if you know what I mean.
And you hold your respects in both areas.
Right, and I think, I kind of like it that way. And it also, yes, it gives some mystery too, and so on, and then it's a sort of surprise when you kind of realize, wait, you're being Janna. I had no idea, I would never think, because also, I mean, see perhaps nerdy glasses, or you don't think of me being a DJ.
Right.
If you even hear that I work on the radio, you might think, okay, it's a current affairs type program, your host, and it's one of those news type stations. No, but in terms of playing music,
some law type
or
program.
What's the name of your program and what you right? Like, no, it's a party, I'm a DJ, like really. So that kind of like that has been fun for me, right, over the years.
So on that note, you say you started here in college, in university.
Right. So left Immaculate, didn't go straight to UE.
Okay.
But my first year at UE, I was doing history alone, and I transferred to doing media and communication. That's at Carrimack, right? And then I was allowed to do a double major in history and media and communication. So I completed that in 2004. And I applied to do law at the same time, meaning I was finishing up, at the same time I was finishing up that Bachelor of Arts, right? And so I got through for the, what they call the direct entry program. So I went straight to Barbados. At the time, Jamaicans were going to Barbados to do it. So instead of doing it in the law degree that is in 3 years, I was able to do it in 2 in that, what they call direct entry accelerated type program. So I did the 2 years in Barbados right after graduating from, finishing, because I had to come back to actually graduate, right? And then finished that in 2006, and then went to Norma Manley Law School and finished that in 2008. But while studying at Carrimack now, I saw a flyer on the wall. Well, actually, that's not the real genesis of me, and you want me to get into that now?
Sure.
2001, there was a advertisement going out. It turned out to be for Cool, right? And I'd wanted to apply, and I was hesitant, and I didn't. Because I was interested in being on the radio. It wasn't necessarily to be a DJ at that time, but I wanted to be on the radio. I thought the radio
and some would say you have the voice for it.
I appreciate it. Sometimes I don't hear it myself. You hear your own self, you're like, no. But thank you. So I didn't apply at that time in 2001. And it bothered me, and I promised myself, all right, next time I see some advertisement for a radio station, I think I will try. And then there was this one. It didn't have the name of it at the time, but it was about February 2002 or so, January, February. And I saw it on the lunchroom area there at Carrimack, and I said, I'm going to try. And I called and got through to come for an audition, right? And day before, my dad was kind of trying to help me and, give me some pointers and stuff like that. But I didn't think it went so well when I didn't think I got through at all. I don't know, I just didn't feel like I was going to get through. And then surprise, I did. And then, I don't say the rest is history, but yes, the rest is history. So that's how I came to be one of the foundation people for Zip in 2002.
Okay, so could you DJ before you came?
Well, because I'm a pianist. I mean, I did the grade 8 Royal Schools of Music exam when I was 15.
Wow.
And I passed grade 7 with a distinction when I was 14. So I was doing CXC and doing grade 8 at the same time and everything. So I completed that. So being musically trained, the boss at the time, Judith, I have to credit her. She was the one who slotted me in to be trained as a DJ.
Oh, so you got the training while at Zip.
Right.
Wow.
But it was in the beginning stages before we're broadcasting. Right.
Okay.
So that was part of it as well. And, learning to operate the system, because we don't have a tech up in radio stations like my father's days at JBC. You had a tech up. And that's even later than JBC too.
Right.
But we have to operate ourselves at Zip. So we have to know to operate the board and turn on the mic and so on. There's no master control the way there is at other places.
Okay.
So we were trained to do those things too. And to spin and stuff. At the time, they had a turntable as well as some other now obsolete equipment as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's very, that was interesting
cool.
times, 2002.
Okay, cool. So, all right, so your dad, Tony, right? We just mentioned that he's a renowned broadcaster. What influence did he have on your voice? And I don't mean like literally, but as it relates to your confidence or your presence in the various rooms that you have.
My dad has always been someone who's encouraging. So while going to UA, I was working at Air Jamaica at the same time, yes, part-time, and then picked up this year. Right, I always used to, and honestly, that is from my father too.
Okay.
In preparing for this interview with you and everything, I was thinking back and stuff, and I realized there was a conversation I had with Daddy when in like prep school times, Mona prep days, and I don't remember how the conversation started, but what he was saying to me was that you can do many things.
Right.
You don't have to do one thing. And he pointed me to my brother's godfather, Uncle Ronnie Thwaites, who at the time was host of the Public Eye, an attorney at law as well, had a coffee farm and stuff in the Blue Mountains, and did various things.
Right.
And he said, look at Uncle Ronnie and all the things he does, and you can do many things as well. You don't have to do just one thing alone. And I think it's from that
was a
time,
seed that was planted.
Right? But from those days as a little girl, it was piano like Monday and Wednesday, ballet Tuesday and Thursday, violin was on a Saturday morning, then swimming was after that. But I mean, it might sound hectic, but
as a child, you're not thinking about
and
that.
then you enjoy what you're doing too. So my parents played a big role in getting me to these various places, of course, paying the different fees, and stuff like that, and honing those talents and skills. So my father and mommy, of course, were very supportive and played a really big role in those things. So in terms of broadcasting now and I perhaps should make more use of my father, if you know what I mean, and spend some more time, doing some more voice training and so on, and make use of that. So I still need training. There's still a lot to learn. There's still stuff that Daddy can pass on to me for sure. So I really need to spend a little more time focusing on that, further development, even 23 years later.
Okay. All right, and it's no secret that you're a shy person, right? Which I personally think is a misnomer, seeing as you're considered a public figure. You hold some, I would say, big titles. You've been in career for 18 years. I mean, that's no small feat,
Thank you.
You're welcome. How have you always been this way? Even, I mean, you touched on it a while ago, like even growing up, how do you balance being shy, and then also just stepping up to the plate in these public roles? Because I mean, sometimes you're behind you're behind the radio, but you have to do outside broadcasts. You have to do different things. How do you? Sometimes I see some videos where you guys do fun stuff and your personality comes out. Where does that come from?
Well, well, as you touched on that, even though radio is changing, you're not just a voice anymore, especially nowadays with social media and stuff. You have to there's the video aspect of it too. You're seen, and I'm still getting accustomed to that. I think because it's so many years on the radio, you kind of hide behind people not seeing you. So even though it's awkward for me to go live on social media, I think the last time I tried was easily more than 5 years ago. And I lasted for like 30 seconds. And I was like, no, stop.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of get over that. So, but part of it is just being professional and doing what the job requires you
Right.
to do. So, outside broadcast, it's I guess a little different. I'm interviewing there and stuff. It's out in the open most times. I'm not sure. I guess you just rise to the occasion and,
Yeah.
and do what's required
Yeah, I think what I'm
of your
getting.
duties.
Yeah, I think what I'm getting from you is that even though you are shy and reserved, if you have to do something, you just have to do it.
Right.
Because that's just the job. It
Yes,
is what it is.
right.
All right, cool. How has your faith or your personal philosophy helped you navigate? I want to say grief and just demands of showing up strong in public.
So I consider myself a very faith-based person. I mean, I follow the Christian tradition. I'm Anglican by denomination.
Right. And you play
St.
on
Andrew Parish Church.
Sundays. You still
Right,
play, yeah.
there's the gospel show on a Sunday, which and this year is 15 years I've been doing that gospel
Wow.
show. Right, it helps to ground me. Honestly, I mean, my Sundays are different when I complete that gospel segment, for example. But on a whole, you pray and keep the faith and
Yeah.
hold to your faith and trust that God will provide, and you've seen His work in your life,
Right.
and those of loved ones and stuff too. So the witness and the testimony is there. So I pray and just try to keep the faith and stay close to God as best as possible.
Understood. And then, so as someone who you avoid the spotlight,
Yes, I try to keep a low profile.
Yeah. So then, what's your relationship with imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome. So, like, do you feel unseen or misunderstood sometimes because of just how reserved you are?
Well, not really, or it doesn't really bother me
Okay.
as such. I think in general, if I were more if I had been more present, so to speak, or did more stuff publicly, that
Right.
kind of thing, yes, things would be different.
Yeah.
Or it would be more popular, or maybe more opportunities
Yeah,
would come along. Because sometimes right, people just don't
I think
know.
your brand, if you took your brand as a DJ seriously, you'd be way popular than most other DJs out there. But it is what it is.
Exactly. And there, as I said, what we were speaking about earlier, a work in progress. There's
Right.
always things to improve on and develop and to learn about and stuff like that.
Right.
So everything is in time. I
Okay,
guess.
so you don't really struggle with imposter syndrome.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, interesting. All right. So this one now, has there been a time in where you're in the courtroom and you weren't taken seriously because somebody recognized you as no Venus that and oh she a lawyer too. Have you ever encountered anything like that? Tell us that story.
Well, because they're two separate names, some people don't realize.
Okay.
And then so no, there hasn't really been a situation like that. There's something I would want to touch on, but I don't.
Okay.
As things have changed, perhaps not.
Okay. Okay, so what about like while you were studying law and people realized that you were on the radio? Did they treat you differently at school? Were you the girl who was playing at the college events?
No, so even people don't believe, like, what? Or again, they think it's a news type of program, or so there's it's those kind of doubting sort of almost like you're not serious, you're kind of exaggerating, you don't have to hear this, that sort of it's not really a negativity, it's just a sort of unexpected.
Right.
They don't expect that I would be
type,
right. So I think even some friends who are not Jamaican who wouldn't be necessarily hear Zip, you have to tune into the app or on the website to really hear. There is that set of doubt, but I don't mean it necessarily in a put down way. It's just this is not the norm, so I don't expect that you really do that well. And then sometimes when you hear, oh, you should play music on the radio, it's kind of like, oh, I look at known station, I look at piano, or like nobody like. But when you know it's it is a popular thing, it's like, really?
So are you affected by that?
I don't take it to heart.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And you don't
but
feel
I
any
notice
way?
it. I notice,
Okay.
right. But I don't hold it against them
Right.
because, as I said, I know it's not
Right. And you
expected
know
that I would
yourself, you
be.
know your capabilities, you
Right.
know what you can do. So then do you think that it affects maybe persons taking it seriously for parties or events
Right.
or bigger stage stuff? Do you
Yes, and
think?
then I'm shy, so
Right.
so I don't like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeking to be necessarily at some big events.
Mm-hmm.
I still get really nervous.
Okay.
I don't sometimes when like the DJ setup is like
Mm-hmm.
in the forefront of the thing, and it's just like why? And I think that's
Yeah.
where the radio come in because it's not
It's
used to
not
people
like that.
seeing you,
Right.
right? So like I don't want.
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode, be sure to like, comment, share, or leave a review. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the wisdom or documenting one story at a time. Now back to the discussion. All right, then. So paint the picture for me then. Paint the picture for who is ZJ Venus. What do you want ZJ Venus to be then? Because we're hearing that you don't want her to be the out there, front and center on the stage, events, big events, DJ. Who do you want her to be?
Right. So I primarily said I'm a radio DJ.
Okay.
Right. Which is a bit different. You know what I mean? You're not trying to carry a crowd for a party.
Right.
So I can do certain events. Like I have a fitness event coming up soon and that kind of thing. A lounge setup.
Yeah.
Easy
Corporate,
vibes.
maybe a
right.
corporate
Exactly.
thing.
Corporate. I had been doing music some Saturday nights at Terra Nova when they had a ladies' night thing, and I mean I really enjoyed that and stuff. So those sort of events, birthday parties, baby showers, stuff like that, right?
Okay.
Where everybody's enjoying the
Right.
music.
And you're not necessarily the benchmark. Like if you don't play anything, they're not gonna enjoy themselves and they're gonna say play the song
you need to carry it sort of thing, or you're gonna do a clash and I don't looking. I mean, music is there for people to enjoy and feel good and feel nice and help with a stressful situation sometime or just help you unwind, that kind of thing. And I like to be able to do that. I like doing the gospel show that's inspiring, it helps people, that kind of way. So that's what my thing is about. And of course, positivity, uplift. So I mean, from a long time, there are certain songs I don't play, certain controversy I'm not getting into. So certain diss songs I don't play.
So then DJs, if a DJ send you something, if you don't like it, you're not?
No, I don't. And then there are times too when I would do my own editing of certain things, like there are some songs and people bother the Lord's name and thing, and I would live edit it and pull it down because I don't think that's appropriate. Different times, different things. Thankfully, in the 23 years, I've never gotten in trouble for playing words that shouldn't be played. I haven't gotten the station into any problems, and they've never had to issue an apology for what I've played and stuff. That's sort of my branding, if you know what I mean. I try to be as clean as possible, wholesome, that kind of thing. I'm just not looking for any drama. We can keep it at a certain level.
Right.
Yeah.
Understood. All right, so we're shifting a little gear. So you have a son, Jude. What do you want him to understand about your journey? Especially as he's growing and he's seeing the many hats that you wear.
Yes. And sometimes he will say, you have to go to work. And I'm like, you have to go to work. I didn't know him saying it in a different way, than just normal talking. And sometimes, that kind of tugs especially because, leaving early in the morning, 6 o'clock, or, it's a particularly long day if I have 9 to 5 work and then something for zip after and stuff. But like what I had to learn too with my father, and like careers in the media and stuff, just to touch on, for example, morning of Hurricane Gilbert, my father was one of the hosts for morning time during that period.
So you have to be out there.
Right, he left the morning before 6. The driver came for him, and thankfully he got back before the storm was really going on. But so he was able to be with us, and the roof, we lost the roof, and but he was there with the family at the time. Thankfully, it worked out that way that he was able to come back. But my brother and I, we grew up seeing our parents working hard. My mother was a flight attendant for 25 years in total, but I mean, for at least the first 13 years of my life. So we saw them working different hours. We never had our parents doing 9 to 5 jobs.
Okay.
So we sort of used to, it was a flexi time, but
Right.
my mother would be gone from 4 o'clock to for early flight, daddy gone as well, that kind of
Right.
thing. So for my son, I would like him to know, hard work is important. Of course, we're not about burnout culture and, do what is manageable for you. It's not the kind of lifestyle for everybody.
Yeah.
Some people thrive in just a 9 to 5 alone. Other people want to add other things as well and, work more than 40 hours a week. But, according to what brings joy and
Right.
happiness and
Fulfillment
satisfaction,
to you, yeah.
right, to your life and stuff. So I would want him to know that, you can do tons of different things too. You don't have to be just like one career or, one thing stuck in a box sort of thing.
I want to touch on, you mentioned burnout. So how do you, doing all of these things, not get burnt out?
Right. So you have to know when to say no sometimes
Okay.
too. Also like to schedule time off. No, especially with my son being older. I mean, he just turned 5, but it's with the younger years, before he, came into awareness and stuff. I would work on the long weekends. But
Right.
now, I definitely ask, request like Easter weekend, anything with a
Those
long
for
weekend,
family
I request
time.
it off. Right. Mother's Day or, certain things,
Yeah.
so that you can spend that family time and, whether going out of town or just being at home, you can make sure to be present. And I try to also, be present at his special occasions and stuff
Right.
for school or whatever, little
Nice.
assembly or presentation thing they're having. It's very important to me. So I try to schedule around that. Or, try to choose jobs or so that can facilitate that understanding boss or, whatever that you can.
And you've been blessed to have those.
Well, yes, I'm very grateful that so far it has been, working out
Right.
in a positive way for sure. But it's important, a balance, and important to know yourself. I remember when I had him, he was premature, so he came 5 weeks early, right? And so he was in the special care nursery, and I was okay to have come to work this Sunday because I was born on Tuesday. I could have come to work this Sunday, but I'm like, what am I trying to prove?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessary. It's not because you can mean that you must go,
Right.
kudos to those who want to, but I'm not trying to champion that because health and wellness, when you really pop down now and you can't, then what?
Yeah.
So know what's important to you, and just allow yourself to get rest and stuff too.
I respect
So.
it. All right. So we're still on him. What parts of your childhood are you hoping to recreate for him? Are there any
yes.
things that you really want him to experience that you did, and and the parts that you're, and then second part, what are parts of it that you want to rewrite? So parts that you don't want him to experience.
So the first part is probably easier. I remember our childhoods were fun.
Right.
Lots of fun, lots of traveling. My parents were deliberate in, ensuring we experience different things and stuff. So I want him to also, have fun, childhood fun, summer memories especially. For months now I've been making a list of stuff for him to do, over the summer holidays and that kind of thing. So it's important to me that he, has happy childhood memories because my brother and I really had a happy childhood and I'm really grateful for that, in what not to recreate kind of.
What you don't want to hoping to like change, or I don't want him to have experienced that part of it. But it sounds like there's nothing because you had such a.
Well, let us say maybe I haven't specifically identified that just yet. I'm sure there's something, but in the present moment of you asking me the question, I don't have a ready answer for it. But I'm going to think about that some more.
That's fine. That's fine. So if your younger self, the young Janna, could hear this podcast, what do you think she'd be proud of?
Well, I think
Wait, before you answer, so the Jana that was a dreamer, the Jana that didn't know that she would be right here, right now, in all of these roles. Maybe she did know, but she never know how it would pan out. Um, yeah, what would she be
well, I
proud
can
of?
say the genre that came to this very building
Mhm.
in 2002
Mhm.
because I never I never thought I was going to get a job. And then I never would have thought that 23 years later
Mhm.
I would still be here,
Mhm.
right? I think she would be proud of everything.
Okay.
It wasn't various things weren't planned. Meaning,
Mhm.
it's not that when I came here all along that I was definitely going to do law.
Yeah.
No, that was sort of a last minute decision to apply when I did.
Why though? Why law?
Why law? Because I had an interest.
Okay.
So I have I love media and communication. I love music. So I had an interest in law. I realized the ranking, right? So I didn't want to be like an older person and have regretted not
pursuing that interest, right?
So when I first started studying, I mean, I was in two minds about it and stuff. And then I remember because I was working at the airport at Air Jamaica, just before I went off in that summer, I saw Howard Hamilton, late Howard Hamilton, Queen's Counsel.
Right.
And I really just walked up to him in the airport, picking up his bags, and I said, "Sir, can I ask you a question, please? I've gotten through for law, and I'm not sure if I really want to do it," and so on. And out of that conversation, he said, well, you can just do the LLB now, that's the bachelor's in Barbados, and later on, many years, whenever you're ready, you can go to Norman Manley.
Right.
You don't have to do another 4 years.
Right
We're
away.
having just done 4 years for the Bachelor of Arts, So when you think about it like at, what was I, 21, 22, to go no, embark on another 4 years.
Yeah, it's like
right?
doctor.
So from that conversation, I said, all right, fine. I'll just do the LLB and get that out of the way.
Right.
And then when I'm ready, go to Norman Manley. And I did finish it, and it's still not so much to go to Norman Manley. It's not sure I really want to do this. And then I said, all right, fine. Just
get it
go on
out of the way.
and write and stuff. So going back to the answering the question, 2002, Jana didn't necessarily know she was going to be an attorney, right? So yes, I don't have any regrets as such. I mean, I think at some point I would have wanted to have focused more on a media career full time because for me it has been secondary to a law career, right? Because law is very demanding, or there's a law is a jealous lover kind of thing. You have to focus. You can't. And depending on the kind of law you're practicing, if litigation, you have court deadlines. You can't just miss things, and stuff. So you have to like the Bible has said, you can't have two masters. So you have to decide. Right, and it has primarily been law and then media and stuff secondary.
Okay.
But so a part of me wants to have the media as the 9 to 5. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel that is what I feel like I haven't satisfied. I've never really done that for a prolonged period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have a lot of time, So, do you think there's anything that she still needs to maybe heal from?
Oh yes. I mean, and well, in preparing or reading about me, you would have read about my brother.
Yeah. I was going to bring it up
right,
earlier, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure.
So so to give a complete story, although it's an incomplete story.
Right.
So January 2017, my brother and uncle, as well as 2 other men, have been missing at sea since that time. It's over 8 years now. So no, there's no closure there. There's still many unanswered questions and stuff. We just don't know what happened to them. Yeah. From that January, and that has shaped how my life is going. Certainly going forward, because you hear people say life is short. I know firsthand. Yeah. He's my younger brother. Certainly those last Christmas and what has turned out to be the last Christmas, those things, you never know was going to be that way. So I try to live in the moment. I have this little thing I said to myself, and in this moment I'm thankful. just consciously appreciating, what's happening, the happiness. I mean, I'm experiencing with my son and everything, cherishing these years with my parents, because when things change, you look back and boy, during that time was so, and then you can't go back, so you have to just appreciate where you are now, who is still here now, and truly just be grateful for what you have and who is here,
All right.
So that is sort of, I don't say the guiding principle, but, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of negativity. I mean, in the last few years, you realize it's been alarming just how negative, hurtful, hateful, bad mind some people can be, and what life can bring sometimes. But I'm determined that, these are the happiest years left of my life, with my parents, with my son, because when things change, life's not going to be the same.
And I think at least towards closure, you won't be able to look back, and because I always say I don't want to be 70, 80 and be telling my grandkids that, boy, I wish I did this and I wish I did that, and you should have done. I want to be able to have stories to tell them, to say, hey, I did this, I did that, I failed, I tried, I this, I that, to at least motivate them rather than just throwing all of this dread on them and regret. So I think that will definitely be your outcome at the end, that you pursued everything that you wanted, and you are fulfilled. And as you grow and get better, you're gonna be doing more and more. I would ever touch on the real tough part. Would ever touch on the justice of the peace, and would ever touch on all of those things and probably more things that I don't even know about. So, but I want to segue now into, do you think that you're continuing it as legacy, or do you think you're creating your own legacy?
I think it's my own. Especially because it hasn't, especially in media and stuff, it hasn't been Janna Patel, right? It's been Venus, or Zip Drop Venus type of thing. So I would say it's my own.
Okay.
But I think he's proud and happy. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that he has been alive all the time, to see for himself that I've followed in his footsteps and stuff. So, but I think it's my own.
Okay. So then, what do you hope to? What legacy do you hope to leave behind? And I don't mean necessarily in the titles. I mean like more in the hearts of those that are closest to you. Your family, your friends, your colleagues, your clients. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want them to be saying about you?
Well, I think that I tried. I tried, and I had joy and happiness and stuff in doing what I was doing. And trying to make a difference, or give a positive touch on people's lives and stuff. Uplifting, encouraging. That's along those lines.
Okay. What's the difference you think you're making in the various facets of your life?
You mean for others?
Yeah.
I don't know.
In music, what's the difference you think you're making in the DJ world? What's the difference you think you're making as a lawyer? What's the difference you think you're making as a mom for your son?
I don't think I've given perhaps enough thought on that, but I know sometimes on the WhatsApp line at Zip,
I hear you get a lot of people love your segments, and even in the comment section, people are
and
like,
sometimes I will get a little emotional, and really I'm appreciative that people are sharing that. Because even if people are experiencing, they may not necessarily share it, I would know, but I really appreciate that they share that, and that it is indeed happening, that they enjoy what I'm playing, and that it helps them and motivates, or encourages, lifts them, that sort of thing. Where law is concerned, boy, that one's sticky. But what do you say?
Just before you touch that, I think it's good for persons to understand which aspect of law that you
okay. So generally, I have been working with the government.
Okay.
But I do also have my own private practice that I have registered, or the business name Patel Law, that I think I'm going to try to grow a bit more. The name has been registered for a little over 3 years now. I have to renew the registration, right? So I think perhaps in 2026 and beyond, I will focus more on perhaps growing that a bit more. So I do mostly like land type of law sort of thing, conveyancing, as like purchasing or selling real estate stuff.
And then I guess that's a connection now.
Well, realtor thing, right?
Okay.
Exactly.
Everything just
right. So I can't get to focus too much on real estate because there's just a lot going on, you know. But at least I'm qualified. I've been a licensed realtor associate since about 2002, right? So and I don't say the possibilities are endless, but yes, there's further studying to do. You can become a broker, property, various things. So, it's, to me, a lot of it is about possibilities and options. In COVID, a lot of people spoke about pivoting and having to, and so I did some of that too because, as I was saying, real estate came along in that time. But I had thought about it and actually had applied and deferred and stuff from many years before, actually, when it was done through UTech, before it was done through where it is now, the real estate board. Or Real Estate Training Institute, I think is the proper name for it now. But you need to have some alternatives and some options and stuff so that you can pivot quickly and you're not starting from the ground up. If you have face a crisis type of thing.
You can always just bounce back and get into. Okay, and what about being a mom?
Well, I hope he knows that he has been absolute joy and I love him to the ground, that kind of thing, and has really changed my life. I hope, as a little boy growing up and a big man, he will definitely know the impact he had on my life,
Well, he'll have this to watch, so he'll know.
True.
All right. I want to touch on your shyness a little bit, This might be an odd question to ask, but what's one thing that you've learned about your shyness or like the shy parts of yourself that the world could benefit from?
What's the one part about that the world could
benefit? You just being this quiet, reserved person. Maybe more people need to be like that. How could they benefit from being like that?
What I have observed, you see these things that said some Chinese philosopher person say you have 2 ears and 1 mouth because you must listen twice as much as you talk, that type of thing. I try to follow that.
Okay.
To just hold on a little bit. Sometimes you talk it out, you're missing out.
Right.
So I don't know if that is a sort of validation for being shy or bashful type of thing. But maybe just to hold off a little.
Yeah, just be more patient.
Right, or just take a step back sort of thing. I don't know.
So do you think it's a gift in disguise, maybe?
I'm not sure.
Because I think it fits your mold. Yes, you could be more outgoing, but it's like it's part of you, so it fits you. So it could be a gift. Maybe being this reserved person has saved you from so many issues, as you mentioned earlier. Not being in the controversies and the stuff.
True.
Being that way probably safeguards you. Possibly.
Just try to avoid certain things.
All right. We'll have this youth segment. So I'm just gonna shoot out some questions, and these answers are geared at the youth.
Okay.
All right. What's something you're really good at that nobody knows or celebrates?
Well, it's not cooking.
Ah.
There must be something.
Could be the piano, the music,
yes.
That part.
Right. I'm out of practice now. Definitely. Way past my prime. But yes, I don't think many people really know, and that I read music, that the true music, people might just think the music is a DJ. No, I am classically trained pianist, right? I was a music teacher for a short time at a prep school, before Zip came along, that sort of thing. So Yes, and there was talk about me going off to go study music at like college and be a
Oh.
concert pianist, but I never loved that. I have no regrets about not doing that.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What advice do you have for someone who is multi-talented but feels pressure to pick one thing?
No, please don't feel pressure to pick one thing. You're multi-talented for a reason. You know, you might need to focus more on one for a time. So you might need to get your qualifications in one area, you know, finish up whatever course of study or, you know, thing you need to do, and then pick up something else. You might not be able to do everything at the same time, but I definitely don't think you should close the door on stuff, especially stuff that you feel you love or that you're called to do. I don't think it's the right narrative, you know, about that you should only just pick one thing. You know, as I said, you have to know yourself though, and know what you can manage, and also, you know, the different factors happening in your life at a particular time, you know. But I wouldn't say to close a door on something permanently, just so. No.
Okay. How do you build confidence when you're shy?
Well,
do you have any rituals, maybe?
Pray.
You pray. Yeah, you know, the Bible said, do not be anxious or anything.
And take a deep breath and just try to, you know, remind yourself of how much you prepared, and, you know, some people say how much you deserve it, you've earned it, you know, you've achieved it, that kind of thing. And just try to keep the nerves that we stay calm and, you know, focused and that sort of thing.
Okay. All right. So what's one lesson you'd want every young Caribbean person listening to this podcast to walk away with from this entire interview?
Give yourself a chance to try and do what you love, you know, what you feel led to do. I would say give yourself a chance.
Okay.
Don't just be dismissive, or I can't do it, or, you know, this is not me, or nobody would think I can, you know, that sort of thing. Because as I've said, I mean, for me, and like, I think I'm the most unlikely DJ. People would never think or encourage, you know, you, like, why, or, you know, especially with the classical music background. I mean, why that have to do with like dance hall or, you know, whatever. But don't let people don't let people's negative energy and sometimes it's of their own self-doubt, you know, that they're casting onto you. It's not you, it's not your weakness, it's their own.
They can't do it, so they're trying
and
to...
they automatically expect that, you know. So that's one of those things too. People mean well. I think generally people mean well. There are those who do not mean well.
True.
Right? And you have to use discernment and pray for discernment and that, you know, kind of thing, to be able to identify that too. But, you know, give yourself a chance. Yeah.
All right. So we usually end each episode with this thing where I ask you to complete a sentence. So, Jana, I'm going to ask you to complete this sentence. Behind my title is...
I don't know to complete that. Behind my title is... Behind the attorney at law, or like behind...
All your titles. Behind my titles are then. Behind my titles are...
I'm just Jana. I don't know. I'm behind the titles.
All right, that's fine. All right, Jana, so thank you so much for this interview again. I personally think that you're a superwoman.
Thank you, Carlisle.
At what you do. It is not the norm, I would say. And I think that's what makes you stand out, and that's what makes you a special person in the various spaces that you occupy. And I just want to give you your flowers if nobody has ever given it to you. You have been in the business in various spheres for over 20 odd years. Again, that is no easy feat, and I just pray that you continue to do that, continue to dominate, and continue to be positive, and continue to inspire persons. You inspire me, and the many others that will be inspired from this interview. So
thank you, Carlisle. I truly appreciate that. It means a lot.
You're welcome. All right.
And that's it for this episode of Behind the Title. If something in this conversation stirred something in you, that's not by chance. These stories aren't just for entertainment, they're blueprints, reminders, and seeds of legacy. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Catch you in the next one.